Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Louisiana, Missouri this time. And we recently introduced you to a bottle digger named Jack Klotz. He lives here in Louisiana. And what he likes to do is he likes to identify historic places where old bottles and pottery and items, items from home use would have been stored or thrown away. And there are a lot of bottle diggers that I wasn't aware of. And we visited him here at his Louisiana, Missouri home, and he showed us some of his collection. And I asked him then, I said, Jack, when you go out on another dig, I want you to tell us. Well, here it is less than 2 months later, and he's gone on another dig to a Privy here in Louisiana, and we're going to go with him. Let's see what he's found already. Jack, you've been at this Privy. You did a little research. You found the map. You got permission from the landowner to go in there and dig. And you've had some success, haven't you?
Yeah. We've been lucky this time. It's a pretty early one, 1857 to the mid-1870s, and the earlier privies usually are pretty stingy on the glass, and this one's been producing, so we've had some luck.
You know, a lot of people don't know what a privy is because they've been alive ever since we've had running water.
Right.
But if you don't have a sewage system, you probably had a privy, which was the outhouse in the backyard. Right.
Yep. And that's where the word privacy comes from. You wanted that when you were in the privy.
Yeah. And not only did human waste go down there, but everything that the household collected, there was no garbage pickup. There were no dumps. It went in the privy.
That's
for most cases.
Yeah. And sometimes by accident.
That's right. Just dropped in there. Yeah. Show us a little bit about what you brought out, and then we're going to go out and see where you're digging. Okay.
You betcha. These are all out of this current privy. Pretty much everything dates from mid-1870s to 1857 when the house was built. This one was kind of my favorite, and I was like, oh, too bad Mark wasn't here when I dug this up. It's McDonald's compound syrup.
No, I don't think that's any relation, but could be.
Yeah, compound
Trenton,
syrup
New Jersey.
Of petroleum. Now, the first well was only, oil well was only dug in 1859. So this was probably on the coattails of something that was popularized by the recent discovery of oil and petroleum as a byproduct. But on the side, it's nature's remedy for lung complaints. So just don't let your lungs complain, you know. But it probably had some concoction of morphine and opium. And then this one is a Eureka, the infallible hair restorative.
Oh my goodness, they were trying even then, huh?
Yep.
To cure baldness.
To cure baldness, yep. Usually though, a lot of times these are just hair preparations to cleanse the hair. Tend to find it in the women's side of the outhouse. And a lot of times there's a very clear definition or demarcation between the men's side and the, men's side have the whiskey bottles and the tonics, and then the women's side have the female complaint remedies and the hair tonic bottles.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and this one's pretty crude. This date's probably mid-1860s.
Yeah. Okay, so you invited us to go with you on this dig. You've already got it opened up for us, so we can see what's down there. It's and you can describe for us when we get there how it'd be different than it would have looked in the day. Okay?
Oh yeah, sure.
But we're going to go down in and we're going to find what we can find, right?
You betcha.
All right.
Hope we get lucky.
Okay, Jack, we're a couple of blocks from where we just were at your house.
Right, 3.
We're in the backyard of an 1850s house in Louisiana, Missouri.
Yep.
And this is as far as you've gotten now. The privy would have been built right over this hole.
Absolutely.
Right? And oddly, this is not the first privy you found here.
Right, yeah. And that's a bit unusual because most houses in these towns only had one privy and they would hire people to clean them out and reuse them. This one had one large brick line privy over here, and then intersecting it was an old wood line privy.
I'll be darned.
And now here we have a stone line privy. So
is this the most recent privy, you think?
This is the oldest privy.
Oh, this is the oldest one.
Yeah,
okay, so you're going to find the oldest bottles and artifacts in
so
this
far,
one.
yeah, we've actually hit evidence for those bases right there are from the 1850s.
Wow.
Because they have what's called a pontal scar on the base.
And we'll look at those later on. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's more bottles to the left that you have on that blue sack over there.
Those are whiskeys, whiskey flasks, I even have a cruet bottle from a cruet set for oil and vinegar at the dinner table, and a couple of medicines and another hair tonic.
And those are nice. Those are entire bottles.
Those
and then
are in good shape.
Over
yeah.
here, you've got a lot that are all broken up, and
Yeah.
I guess what would happen is the bottle would break and they throw it down there, or they'd throw an old bottle down and it would break. One or the other.
Yeah, more likely with this much glass, the bottles were thrown in and got broken, especially with the stones that they pried off the top of the wall to throw back into the hole, just added to the breakage.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay, I really want to know your technique. So let's go down in there and see how you actually identify where you want to dig and what tools you use to do that. Okay?
Yeah,
All right.
you betcha.
Okay, Jack, I wish I could fit down there with you, but there's only so much room.
That's right.
Okay, how did you choose now where you're going to start digging?
Well, right before I quit yesterday late, I dug out a couple of those whole bottles right there by your foot. So I stopped. I thought, well, you know what? The folks are going to hopefully want to see something more than what came out of Al Capone's vault, you know. So
Right.
so hopefully there's stuff still sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you use? Screwdrivers or prods?
I do.
Or probes,
I use that small shovel there. That guy I use getting into a productive spot, and then once I hit, you know, what looks like a glassy area or something that looks like a bottle, I'll use a screw. This is my weapon of choice. A lot of people, I mean, they just like to stab shovels at them. I kind of cringe at that. This actually makes me feel like I look like I know what I'm doing.
Well, and you know, if you shove a big implement in there, the odds of breaking it are a lot greater,
yeah,
right?
or chipping the lips or all of that
Yeah,
stuff, you
yeah.
know. So, you know, using a smaller tool once you're down into what took you so long to find, only makes sense.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and show us where you think you
Sure.
might have some success.
Alrighty, well, right about in here is where I was digging yesterday. And I popped up a couple of quick bottles, and I thought, okay. And you just never know what the heck you're gonna
Well, that's part of the fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, and there's a piece of glass, but nothing solid or good. The nice thing is the soil's nice and loose.
I'm kind of surprised that it is. I guess after all those years, though, of being moistened, it's sort of done that, hasn't it?
Well, hopefully. This is an old kerosene-style lamp chimney. I suspect they use these for sperm whale oil. Because kerosene really wasn't all that popular yet. And whenever you run into these old-style chimneys like that, you know you're digging in an 1860s hole right there.
And this is, like you said, this is an 1850s house, and this is the oldest Privy, so it wouldn't be unusual to find 1850s and 60s.
Correct, yeah. Matter of fact, I'd be surprised if not. But it took some searching to find the right hole.
How deep is this Privy? Do you have any idea?
Oh, here we go. We got...
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Hey, it's complete, isn't it?
It is, and you know what? This is the first Pontel-marked bottle to come out of the hole from the 1850s. A lot of times they called these puffs because they were thin as a light bulb, and they would blow them in one puff. But this is a little bit thicker than those. A little bit more of a utilitarian type.
It's handsome. What do you think that would have been used for?
Probably a medicine.
Uh-huh.
Could have been used for just about anything. Liquid, of course. And what's interesting is that this has a later Pontel mark. Those others are what are called open Pontel. This one, you can see a residue here in the middle. They call that an improved Pontel because they used some sort of a metallic substance on the end of the rod when they attached it to the glass. And so that would indicate still 1850s manufacturing, just towards the end of the Pontel rod era.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good one.
That's a beauty. I'll try to reach it.
There you go.
That is nice. And look at the color.
Yeah.
That would have been the original color, you think? That greenish?
Oh yeah.
That's sweet.
That's the natural color of glass because it's just got the natural sand from that region that they used at the glass factory. To make colors, they had to add for cobalt blue, they had to add cobalt.
Yeah.
For red, they actually had to add gold to make red glass. Green glass, they would, add copper. So, and that's really a good sign, because we still have 3 feet left of this dump to go.
Is that right? 3 feet down?
3 feet down.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you do with all that dirt? Do you just take your shovel and start throwing it out?
Well, as far as I can.
Yeah.
At 70, I can still sling dirt a good ways, but at this point, it's easier to fill up a couple of 5-gallon buckets and have your buddy pull them up. But in this case, it's me climbing out and pulling up the buckets by hand. So I get a workout.
You wonder if maybe that TV guy doesn't just stay around and help you out a little bit. Huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, it saves me on gym fees. I really don't need to go to the Y after after I dig one of these,
Okay, well, this is fun. I'm really anxious to see what else you come up with.
And I'm surprised as heck, because everything else I've been digging right in here was 1870s. Now, there are things called a late throw, where clean out Grandpa's chest, and he was a Civil War veteran, or clean out his shed, in the 1880s or 90s after he dies, and suddenly in an 1890s pit, you're finding Civil War stuff.
Yeah.
So they call that a late
What
throw.
a treat. Yeah, what a treat.
Yeah, and you never know when that's going to pop up, Usually with fruit jars and things that weren't meant to be thrown away when they were empty. Here's a piece of a pottery something or other.
Yeah.
Might have been an old flower pot. We dig up a lot of old flower pots. But
now you have another 2 feet or 3 feet to go. How long will it take you to dig this privy out?
At the rate I'm going and the weather, probably a month.
Really? Yeah.
Normally I'd have something like this dug out in a couple, 3 days, but now that's an early fruit jar top. That was probably a wax sealer. They would seal the inside rim here with wax, and then they would stick a cork in that. But that's a early 1860s.
Again, that color, that natural green color, is very pretty.
Yeah, and the older it gets, the deeper that aqua color seems to become. Not unusual to get some aqua colors that are very, very pretty. And generally, bottle diggers don't think aqua is a very pretty color unless you get into that age. And here's something we always encounter.
That's a bone, isn't it?
Yeah. Somebody's dinner.
It looks like it was maybe a hip bone from a pig or something.
Got a stone going on here.
Oh, I thought maybe that was a big, it's a stone. That's no good.
No.
That's no good. Are you ever concerned with contamination or infection or anything digging around in an old outhouse hole?
I never have been so much, but I'm always a little bit concerned about some of the bottles come up with liquids in them, and you never know. I mean, I've heard of people pulling up beer bottles, 120-year-old beer bottles, and they, let's see if it's still any good. And I'm like,
oh God, no.
No, yeah, you don't want to be doing that.
No. But you've never gotten sick or an infection or anything, huh?
No. Like I mentioned before, the worst that happens is you cut your finger. That's why I always wear gloves, but
sure.
Because you see I'm wiping away at the ground, but I rarely get cut anymore because I've learned that even though I'm wearing leather gloves, not to be too cavalier about it, because some of this glass is so sharp it'll just shred right through modern leather gloves.
Well, Jack, no sooner than we'd climb out of the hole, and you turn over another little rich bit there, don't you?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
One shovel load, and here's a little little medicine right near where that Ponald bottle came out of.
And again, it's complete. There's not even a chip in it, it looks like.
Nothing wrong with it at all, except there's no writing on it. Which is always, premium.
Yeah.
But it's got what's called an early key mold, or a hinge mold on it. And I love this part because that's the first time that's seen daylight in 150
Boy,
years.
that is nice and smooth on the bottom.
And you see that little half circle line in the bottom of it. That's what's the age indicator. That'll tell you that's a early 1860s bottle.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Would this have been medicine too, you think?
Yeah, most likely.
Medicine.
Something good.
What's the big brown broken piece?
This here is a piece of probably Grandpa's sipping jug.
Oh, okay.
And you can tell the base because they kind of, I don't know what they did with like a sponge or something. I'm not sure how they didn't glaze the bottoms like they did the sides. So they always have kind of a different texture to them, or appearance anyway. So that was just one shovel load. Let's see what two shovel loads do for us.
It's just remarkable how much what a family would throw away, and where they're all just, they just want to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's it, you know. And back in those days, nobody collected anything. You know, collecting was unheard of.
Yeah, and you didn't really have space.
No.
You know. Oh, there's a big old rock.
Yeah.
Now, was that rock natural, or was that put there to shore up the privy?
That was there as probably part of the wall that they just collapsed into the hole.
Uh-huh.
It has no particular use other than to break the bottles and make more room for more trash. A trash compactor, that's what it was.
Yeah, you don't like those because
No.
you'd find more whole bottles. If it
Yeah,
wasn't.
they're not nice. They're just not nice. Thought we might have had another bottle there.
Have you ever had one of these cave in on you?
Yeah, I'm usually pretty watchful, and the big thing is you really don't want to let an entire wall collapse on you or something over your head.
Right.
You know, I've been stuck waist deep before, and that's not a lot of fun. But it's not life-threatening like, you know, like that big rock I pulled up. If that had fallen on me at any point, that would have done more than just hurt. Now this white stuff down here that you see is from throwing bags of lime in to knock down the stink and also to facilitate decay.
Are we?
Oop. There's a broken something or other.
Yeah.
It looks like
It's a square bottle, isn't it?
yeah, they call those French squares. They were popular from the 1860s through the 80s. What do we got here? Oh, that was part of an old doll.
Really?
Yeah, that's the shoulders.
What is that, ceramic? What is that? What?
Yeah, it would be a bisque or porcelain. That's the shoulders and the neck. The head is missing.
Sure, the head's there's where the head would be. Yeah. Huh.
Another one of those early lamp chimneys.
Have you ever found a doll?
Oh yeah, I've got quite a few, as a matter of fact. Yeah, dolls and marbles are the most common kids' toys. So that's the wall I'm hitting right there.
There's no reason to go any further there.
Well, it won't let me, even if I thought about it. Sometimes I'll use this as a mini probe just to see what's going on where.
You'll know whether you hit the real wall or whether you just hit a rock, huh?
Right. Well, usually, except like in this case where the wall is rock.
You find something?
I did. And it is an early open ponnelled. This is what I was talking about being a puff.
Being a what?
A puff.
A puff.
One little puff of the blowpipe, and look at that thin flared lip.
Oh, you mean on the top?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get that knocked off there.
Isn't that crazy? Look at how thin that is, and that's under a pile of bricks.
And that's called a puff.
A puff.
Under
Usually,
a pile of bricks.
Yeah, under a pile of bricks. And the blowpipe, the glass blower would just go, and that would be it.
Uh-huh. And that would form that little lip like that, huh?
Well, they would have to actually do that. Usually an apprentice or somebody. Yeah, you can just.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I can set it down for you. But yeah, and then it's got this open panel on the base there, which is earlier than the iron panel, the one that we pulled out earlier.
And that's how you know what year this is, or about what year?
Yeah, this would actually be predating the house. This would probably be more closer to the mid-50s and earlier.
So they brought that to the house when they moved in?
Possibly, very possible. However, we're not near the bottom yet. We still got a few feet left to go.
The oldest will be at the bottom, of course.
It should be, yeah. Unless there was, for some reason, a crevice or a crease that, you know, maybe they threw something large in, a tree stump or something, and then it would create a void, you know, and then
things would slip down in there through the
newer
years.
stuff may end up at the bottom along with the older stuff. You know, it happens, but not terribly common. So, so that's a good sign to find that stuff that age with still a few feet left to go.
Okay, Jack. One of the first things you do before you even get started is you start by probing with this, and this helps you know where the privy actually is,
You bet, yep.
And then when you get down there, we see you probing with smaller items, which is the screwdrivers and the shovels, etc.
Yeah.
How would you rate this particular dig so far? Has this been a pretty nice one?
I'd give it a solid 9. You know, a couple of bottles came out that were a surprise that that I didn't have or haven't dug before, and so, you know, that always ranks high on my scale. And the age, of course, you know, anything
1850s,
anything pre-Civil War is the sweet spot for me. 1860s is a great time period for glass because especially right after the Civil War or during the Civil War, they were starting to make some amazing glass molds for bottles, which were unheard. Most bottles were square or round. Now they're popping them out in shapes of ears of corn or an Indian queen and cabins, you know.
Well, you know, I mean, you found some very interesting things.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're not that crazy about this.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But for most people would look at this and they can see the female figure on here. This is very ornate.
Yeah.
This would have been, I guess, a tea.
And with the original lid on it, even though it's a little bit beat up.
That should come off.
It should. It's got the, there we go.
There it is, yeah. And the real problem with this is it's got no bottom.
Yeah, it's no longer a teapot.
So
it's like a tea cozy or something.
I guess it, you know, it either rotted out or it broke and fell out, and that's why they shoved it in there. Or maybe the spout, maybe it broke, and that's why they threw it in there.
Probably, you know.
But I don't know. You don't like this because you're always looking for glass, but I just think that's beautiful.
Well, now, if it were a spittoon, we would be talking a different story here. I love old spittoons, and I've dug up a couple of broken ones out of here so far.
This one's almost intact, and wouldn't that be nice?
And it was, except it had cracked all the way. So after I pulled it out, it literally fell apart when it hit the air. You can, and you can tell it's an old break because you can see the iridescence where the glass is broken. So that's how you can always tell that I didn't do it with a shovel.
Okay.
I'm innocent, in other words.
Blood.
Dr. McLean's blood, strengthening cordial and blood. Blood purifier. Yeah, I couldn't remember what the heck.
Wow. Now that's snake oil for you, right?
Yeah, that's solid 1880s. They were out of St. Louis. They were a big drug manufacturing concern.
When you see this color, this almost looks like mother of pearl.
Iridescence, yeah, we call that.
What does that tell you?
Well, that tells me it's old, older than me, because I don't look like that yet. But it's actually telling me that the glass is being mineralized by minerals in the soil, and if left alone after about 2,000 years, it will revert back to sand, its original.
Now, we saw some of the bottles that you found at the beginning of this program that you really liked and you took home and cleaned up.
Right.
Are there any others here that are particularly
over on that bag there? We have a smattering of whiskey flasks and medicines.
Can we walk over there and take a look?
Yeah,
sure.
You bet. This one was one of the first ones that came out, and the homeowner dug this up, and I teased him. I said, "Oh, you hit it with a shovel," but as you can tell from what I just previously mentioned, there's the iridescence on it, so it was broken. But a lot of these, like that brown flask in my kitchen, they'll have embossings on them. There's one of my favorites says, "Will you take a drink?" And then it has a picture of a duck in a pond, and below the duck it says, "Will a duck?" Well, actually, it says above the duck, it says, "Will a?" And then it shows the duck, and then below that, "swim?" question mark. So the question is, of course I'll take a drink, or the answer to the question. And that's 1870s all day long.
Nice.
As is the rest of these. This one's an odd one because there's almost no lip on this thing. And it was a little, they call that a coffin flask. Actually, this is more of a coffin flask. Just by the shape, it looks like a coffin. And both of these are 1870s. This one's the Cunningham and Imson Glass Company. It has C and I on the base. Yeah. And they started right before the end of the Civil War, early 1865. And I think C and I were in business for about 10 years, I think.
Jack, we're out of time. We're going to let you go back to work because I know you got a lot more hole to dig, right? You got like what, 2 or 3 more feet to go, and then you're going to be good, right?
Yeah, but not today.
Not today. We talked a little about the weather for a bottle digger, and he says, well, as long as it's not raining. I said, what's the best time of year? He says, before summer and after winter. So there you go. But here we are in the winter, and it's been a pretty good day. You can see that they've had some success here, and Jack's not finished yet. With another Illinois story in Louisiana, Missouri, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, Illinois Arts Council Agency, and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.